At the Conservatorium here, we offer a 4-year Bachelor of Music in Music Education. We also offer a research master's degree and a PhD as well. But our core business is really the undergraduate degree. The degree historically has trained people to work generally in New South Wales secondary schools. Although some move interstate, some people go abroad and teach abroad as well. In our popular music studies subject, we have 3 broad components. One is sort of a theoretical component, the other is an analytical component with a workshop that students have to run attached to that, and then there's a creative component.
Students will learn and familiarize themselves with song structures and chords. It'll improve the students'
3rd and 4th year is really education heavy, and because we're doing music education specifically, we do things, the activities that you would actually find useful in a music classroom. It prepares you both in the theory and actually giving you the resources to then use, which is fantastic.
Sheets and all that, and even the sounds, if they didn't like the one that's already there, they can download sounds that are in the GarageBand library.
That's all really, really clear, and I think it's a fantastic model for students. But when you were making...
One of the key factors that students would want to switch from one degree into our degree would be a desire for a more secure economic future.
The education degree is really good, actually, in terms of becoming employable at the end, and also in the middle, actually. I've got a couple of jobs at the moment and just working in schools and conducting and things.
We have a subject called non-Western music, which involves students in an immersion study of Balinese gamelan, I should say. We also have an option where every 2nd year students can undertake that actually in Bali.
Learning a gamelan piece is so different. It uses so many different musical skills. The instruments come in pairs and they're tuned differently. So when the 2 instruments are played together, you get an acoustic beating in the air, which makes a lovely metallic shimmering effect, and that's distinctive for Balinese gamelans. There is no notation. So one of the points of the lesson is to encourage students to memorise the music. And this is difficult for people who've been brought up in Western music backgrounds because they've got used to reading notation. After the first lesson, they say, "What are we going to do for next week?" We won't remember it, but they do. Here at the Conservatorium, we think that to be a good music educator, you need to know more than just what happens in a Western school or a Western teaching studio or a Western orchestra. That's the way people teach music in the West, is one way of doing it, and notation is a really good example of that. We think to make people into good music educators, they need to understand how music is taught outside of the West. So we've chosen the example of Balinese gamelan as our way of doing that.
I feel that music is so important in education. I was in Germany last year and I was able to give a piano lesson to a person who had no idea a word of English, and I could sit there and I could teach him how to play a bit of Mozart and say, "Oh, that needs to be a little bit longer." And he went, "Oh, okay, we had a universal language that we can speak." So it didn't matter where you were in the world, I think you can still talk in music.